Hello and welcome to the Low Budget Review Show. I'm your host, Eric Smith, and today I'm talking about Tortures of the Damned by Hunter Shea. This is published by Pinnacle Books, and it's already out there on bookshelves and internet stores, available for you to pick up and read. So in Tortures of the Damned, this is an apocalyptic novel. There are bombs and an electromagnetic pulse that wipes out all electricity, and our characters are sort of stuck at first in a bomb shelter. No communication with the outside world. Circumstances force them to leave the shelter and go out into the apocalyptic world and deal with everything that's out there, and there are some horrible things out there. So that's a real quick, simple synopsis. And now I'll get into the details here. So our characters are the Padilla family, however you say their name. You've got the father, Daniel, the mother, Elizabeth, their oldest son, Ray, who's a high school senior, Max, who's either in junior high or just starting high school maybe. And then the younger kids, Gabriella and Miguel. And then you've got their neighbor, Buck, who's an older gentleman, and his much younger girlfriend, live-in girlfriend, Alexiana. And that's our main group of characters. And Hunter starts off the first few chapters just letting us get to know the characters. And they're good characters, not just well-written characters, but actually good people. So we get to know them a little bit, see their sort of, I would say, day-to-day lives, but it's basically one day before the shit hits the fan. Daniel's at work. Some of the kids are on their way home from school. Ray has an after-school job. He's at this stable taking care of some horses. When the bombs and the missiles hit, and there is some chemical warfare involved, and as I said, an electromagnetic pulse, which wipes out all the electronics. So Buck, it turns out, is prepared for this. He specifically bought the house that he lives in because it had a bomb shelter, and he's expanded it. And because he's a good person, he actually prepared it when he stocked it and everything. He prepared the shelter for himself, Alexiana, and the Padillas. And there's even extra stock in case a couple more people show up. So when everything goes crazy, he goes next door. He sends Alexiana down to the bomb shelter. He goes next door to get the Padillas. Elizabeth is there with, I think Max, Gabriella, and Miguel are all there. But Daniel hasn't gotten home from work yet. Ray hasn't gotten home from his after-school job. So Buck sends the Padillas that are there down to the bomb shelter. He's waiting at the Padilla house. And Daniel shows up, and then they got to wait for Ray. And Ray, at the stables, when everything goes crazy, the horses go crazy. And they start attacking people and biting their faces off and stuff. So it's just pandemonium. And Ray saves the life of a secretary named Dakota. And so she joins our merry band. Ray and Dakota get to the Padilla house, and then everybody goes down to the bomb shelter. So they're down in the bomb shelter for quite a while, a few weeks, I believe, and with no outside communication. They've got an old ham radio that was shielded from the pulse, and they're trying. They cannot find anyone broadcasting. And so eventually Buck and Daniel decide they're going to venture outside, and they put on some gas masks, and they have a Geiger counter and everything. And they go out, and everything seems kind of cool, so they're wandering around. And then there's a swarm of rats that comes after them. And unfortunately, the rats get into the bomb shelter, and it forces everybody out. So now all of our characters are out in the world. and it is pretty much an apocalypse, but it's not like a bombed out kind of apocalypse. It's sort of an abandoned place. There don't seem to be any people around. Cars abandoned because, of course, they're not running because of the EMP. But there just don't seem to be people anywhere. Now, a big part of that is because of the chemical warfare thing that I mentioned, and a couple of our characters were exposed to that. So the Padillas and Buck and Alexiana, one, want to get to a hospital because a couple of people here are sick, and two, they want to find somebody. They assume that the government is set up somewhere, that there have to be what do you call it, shelters that have been set up for people to get to. So it's a trek kind of story, and they just, the things they have to go through. Now, I mentioned that these are not just well-written characters, but good people, and they are. And now, I love a good anti-hero or even a nice psychotic character, but I like that the main characters here are just good, wholesome people. They're average citizens, and that makes what they go through that much more horrifying, and it makes what they have to do to survive that much more horrifying. I assume that's the point. I assume that's why Hunter Shea wrote the characters the way he did. Just your average folk. And good folk at that. To emphasize what they're going through. And they go through a lot. Whatever it was in the chemicals that are killing people made animals go insane. So as I said, the horses were attacking people. They've been attacked by rats. And they end up getting attacked by all sorts of different animals, which I love. I love animals attacking people. It's one of my favorite things in horror fiction. I don't know why. I just do. So there's a lot of that going on. Excuse me. So let's see. It's over 400 pages, but it flies by. Excuse me. Chapters are really short, which helps keep the pace just moving and moving. And I spoke to the author, and he actually said, this isn't the longest book that he's written. I think it has the highest page count. But he said because of the short chapters, there's a lot of white space. And his previous pinnacle book, The Montauk Monster, he said has a higher word count. So don't let the page count fool you. This is a quick read. You're going to keep turning the pages. It's just compelling, and even the quiet moments just are really, really interesting, compelling. The characters are so good, and they go through a lot of shit. I think this is his most gruesome book. I believe the author said this is his most gruesome book, or words to that effect. The closest thing to it would be Montauk Monster again. Maybe it's a pinnacle thing. But there is a lot of violence and bloodshed and some other things going on. So it's not necessarily for the faint of heart. It's not hardcore horror. This isn't like Edward Lee or Wrath James White territory. But it does get pretty wild. And the ending. Holy crap, the ending. This is an ending that is going to have people loving it or hating it. I love it. I think it's a fantastic ending. But it's definitely gonna be divisive among readers, I think. Yeah. Oh, it's so fantastic. Obviously, you already know I'm going to give this a good rating because I'm just gushing about this. And I'll tell you right now, this is my favorite book of 2015. I've read some great stuff, but this one easily my favorite book of the year. There are 4 months left in 2015, so there's a chance something could come out that'll top this. But I can't imagine what it's going to be, because this just blew me away. I don't know what it is exactly. Maybe it's just a cumulative thing. You've got the animals attacking people, which I always love. You've got these wonderful characters. Excuse me. And the horrible things that they go through. Maybe I'm just sick that way. I like to see... I don't want to say I like to see good people being tortured. And believe me, this title is appropriate. These people are pretty much damned. I mean, it's a post-apocalyptic world. And they do get tortured. And not just the animals. They do come across some people. And the survivors that they do meet are a mixed bag. There are some decent people. And then, of course, you have the bad people. Because there's always going to be someone to try to take advantage of a situation like this. So, just easily my favorite book of the year. I'm going to reread this many times. I can tell you that right now. So, my rating. Excuse me. I believe this video is going to be my 100th video posted to YouTube. And in those 100 videos, I've destroyed the laws of mathematics twice before. Now I'm going to do it for a third time, because I give Tortures of the Damned 6 out of 5 killer rats. There you go. Yes. Mathematics be damned. 6 out of 5. This book is just that good. This is the book that should put Hunter Shea on the map. I'm a fan of his stuff. I really loved Montauk Monster. Probably my second favorite book by him. But his Hannah Haynes stuff is really good too. So I think everybody should be reading his stuff already. But this is the one. You got to pick it up. You got to read it. Tell your friends and family to pick it up and read it. Buy an extra copy and give it to a stranger. Just, man, it's out there. It's available in bookstores. I'll have a link for Amazon if you don't like to go to bookstores and just want to order it online. I'll have a link for it in the description below. But come on, people, you've got to read this. Oh, it's so good. So good. If you're a fan of post-apocalyptic stuff like The Walking Dead, there are no zombies in this book. So I'm not comparing it to The Walking Dead that way. Just that post-apocalyptic thing. If you like The Walking Dead, pick this up. If you just like good horror, pick this up. If you want to try out horror for the first time and you're not too squeamish, pick this up. It's, you just need to pick it up and read it. It's so good. All right, I think I've covered everything. This is actually the second time I've recorded this, because I can't believe that the first time I forgot to mention the ending, which just blew my mind. I love it. A lot of people are going to hate it, but I think a lot of people are going to dig it. If they're like me, that should tell you something about the kind of ending it is. But, yeah, get it. Just get it and read it and pass it on. Come on. 6 out of 5 killer rats can't be wrong. Well, I suppose they could be, but they're not. Look at that. Come on. You got to trust those guys. They look so trustworthy. All right. So that's Tortures of the Damned by Hunter Shea from Pinnacle Books. Just a fantastic read. If you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put them in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. Just post a spoiler warning. If you want to know more specifics, because I really didn't get into a lot of specifics here, ask me in the comments, and I may or may not give you specifics, because I really think you just need to read this and experience it. without too many preconceptions. I mean, I gave you some things, but you just got to read it. So, all right, I did the whole comments thing. I mentioned I'll have a link in the description below. I guess that's it. Please like, share, and subscribe. And that's it. So this is the Low Budget Review Show. I'm Eric Smith, and until next time, read more books.